Hi, welcome to Uli's Dev Corner. My name is Uli. As the title says, it's all about dates and time with JavaScript. I put together a web page with examples and important methods how to get the date and time, or only the date or only the time. As usually, you can find the stuff I show you in this video on GitHub, link in the description. We will use only the console where we type the examples, and later I show you the web page. As well, you can find useful links in the README file. Here's the MDM web docs with the date constructor, and basically I will show you most of the stuff we can see here from the methods, and you can find all the links. We will use the console from Google Chrome DevTools. So let's open a new tab, and then here are some useful shortcuts. So to open a console you can hit Shift, Control and J, and then as well you can close it, so that means it toggle it. So with Shift, Control and C you can open the element, and here I have as well a console. You can open this with the escape key and closing it. And open the console in the other tabs you can as well using the escape key, and as well with Shift Control I you can open the last tab, and this is as well for F12. So Shift Control and J to open the console again, and now I like to undock it so that we have it as full screen. Let's start with the date object, where we can output the current time with the date constructor, which can create a date instance. So in the console we're typing new, then date and parentheses, and here we have the current date and time. So this is an object, and when we need it as a string, what we can do, we can add the string method with dot and then to string, and now we have it as a string. There are quite a few string methods we can use. So for example, if we need only the date, what we can do, we can add here to date string, and as you can see we got only the current date, and then we have as well a time method, so we can add here the time. And here you can see we got the full time even with the local, as I'm here in the Central European summertime. This is what I get. Then we have an UTC time. So let's try this one. Dot to UTC, and that looks like that way. So depends which kind of time you need. You have quite a few string methods. And what I like to use most of the time is the toIso string. So let's try that one. Dot to ISO string, and that's how it looks like. And when I want to change the output, for example, I want only the date and time, what I can do, I can add the slice method and then 0,16, and now you can see I have only the dates and then the T character for the time, what is 0539, so early in the morning, but this is without my local time. As you can see, my real time is 7 AM. So what else we can do is we can change the T to something else, and here we can just add the replace method, and in here I want to change the T, and now I add space, hyphen and the space. I'm closing this with a quote, parentheses. So let's execute that one, and now you can see I changed the T with my space, hyphen and space. So that's about it to use the string methods. If we need more control over the date output, we have to use the two local string methods. We can use a local argument for language tag and the option argument for controlling the output. And going back here to the MDM web docs, here you can find all the two string methods I used, the time strings and so on. So back to the console, and with Ctrl L we can clear the console. There are three methods with a similar output when we are formatting them with the same options. With the default output we can use the toLocal string method to output the date and the time. The toLocal date string method outputs the date only, and the toLocal time string method outputs the time. The locals options arguments customize the behavior of the function and let applications specify the language whose formatting convention should be used. This is useful if you want to control the date and the time in more details. For instance, if you have a customer service with a local office hours from your time zone, you can show the time of your time zone and the time of your visitor so they know when to contact. The default output, that means without any arguments, we can do by calling the date constructor and cascading the method. So in the console we're typing new date and then dot to local, and then here we have the string. And this is the output how I set up my date in my OS. And then we can output only the date to local date. So now we have only the date, and then as well removing the date and having here the time. And this is then only my time. So let's clear the console with Ctrl L. As the formatted output is basically the same, we will use only the toLocalString method. Using the local argument, we can specify a string with a BCP47 language tag. So let's give an example here. So when we're using only the toLocalString, and here in the parentheses, when we want to output a German date format, so DE capitalized, and then closing the parentheses, this would be the date for Germans. And if we want to use it for the US, EN capitalized and then US. And here we have basically the EN is the language and then US would be the country, and we can change this as well for GB for Great Britain. And then that's the output for Great Britain. And here you can see that the day and the month is different order. And as well for US, we have like AM, as we're using here only 12-hour time. And for GB, we have a 0 here. That means we have a 24-hour time. But as well, we can change that with the options. So if we don't want to specify the local, what we can do is we're removing this one, but when we want to use options, we have to type something here, and we can use undefined. So, and that's how basically the visitor have set up the date and time in the OS. So with Ctrl L, we clear the console again and use some options. So for example, we go back to the US, and the option have to be in object. So with curly braces, we're starting this one, and then let's start with the hour 12 and then colon false. And now you can see we have as well here a 0 before the hours and no AM. So that means we have now a 24 hours time. As well, we can change the time zone. So for example, when we're using the undefined example, again, curly braces for the object, and here the time zone, colon, and in quotes, we're typing America, slash, and then New York. So you can see that I go 6 hours back in the past, because I'm using now the American time zone. As well, we can change the calendar, removing this one. And if, so for this example, we're using the Buddhist calendar. And as well, what makes sense here to add then the local where the Buddhist calendar is used. For example, Thailand with TH and then hyphen TH capitalized. And here you can see we writing the date 2565. And if you need this one as well in Thai writing, what you can do, we can add another with a comma. So in here we now adding the numbering system. Colon, and then in quotes we add Thai. And now you can see we got everything writing in Thai letters and numbers. So let's clear the console again with Ctrl L. There's another constructor we can use. The Intl.DateTimeFormat constructor creates an object that enable language-sensitive date and time formatting. We can use the same language tag and options as we used for the toLocalString method. We have to use the Intl.DateTimeFormat constructor if we need to use the options date style and time style. So let me go to the website, and I usually go here to the date, and here we have then the Intl.DateFormat API, and here we can see then the options somewhere. So we here have the local date and time format, some examples. Going one back here to the local string, and here we have the options. And here you can see if we want to use the date style, so the date formatting style to use when calling the format. And here we have like 4 different options like full, long, medium, and short. So let's try that out. So now we're typing new ENTL dot and then the date time format dot format. Oh, and here we get then only the date. And if we want to format that, we have to add our argument in the DateTimeFormat parentheses. So let's add here the local for en-us and then comma and our object, and then here date style colon and then in quotes full, and that would be then our full date, Sunday, September 25. We could use as well like short, same output like before. And as well, we can use the time style, and then this would be the time style. So with Ctrl L, we clear the console again. There are as well some get and set methods. So here on the MDM web docs, you can see here the get full year and hours and so on. And as well, you can set some stuff here. So let's try that out. So the get full year method returns the year as a number of the specified date according to the local time. Use case for me to display the current year in the footer. So new date and then parentheses dot get full year. And here you can see that is a number output. And if we need this as a string, we just add the toString method. toString. And now we got it as a string. In the web page, I will show you later where I set up this one, where I will use it for the footer. So with Ctrl L, we clear the console. And now let's set a date. And here would be a use case when you want to add or subtract minutes or hours or even dates or year, whatever. So as I will use now the new date object quite a few times, we add it to a constant. So we type in const d new date, and output is here nothing, and then let's output it to the console with d dot to string, and that's our current time we set up when we created the constant. So what we can do now, we can type d dot set hours and then in parentheses d dot get the hours and then plus 7, closing the parentheses, and hit enter. Now we get the number, and let's output it as well, the d2 string. And now you can see we adding 7 hours. So we have here 07 and 14. As you can see, like that's just before 8, but it took here a couple of seconds. We should be already on 8 a.m., but we are not, because I add my date to the constant, and when we're using all the time the constant, we are not getting up-to-date date. So we can check that with new date. So here we are now on 0801 and not before 8. Okay, so let's subtract some minutes. So with d dot set minutes and then parentheses d dot get the minute minus 30, and then hit enter again, and then now writing the today. So and here you can see that we subtracted from what we had before. Here we have 59 and here we have 29, and as you can see the hours is still added. Okay, let's clear the console again. So let's have some more examples. For example, if you want to output the year but you want to use the toLocal string methods, what you can do is new date and then dot toLocal string, and then in here we undefine for the local, and here in curly braces the object and a year, and that should be numeric. Then we get the output only from the year, same like with the get full year method, and other option would be 2-digit with a hyphen between, and this would be then only 22. So let's try that one with the numeric. And here the ordering, it actually doesn't matter. We can add now here the weekday, and we want to output long, and the months as well long, so that we get then the September, and then another comma for the day, colon, and here in quotes numeric. And now we got Sunday, September 25, 2022. As well, then we can change it with the calendar type. So we add here then again the Buddhist calendar. And if we want to output in Thai, we have to add again the numbering system. And as you can see, we get it here now partially in Thai. So what we have to do is go all the beginning and removing the undefined and adding here the local, and now we're getting it in full Thai writing. Next thing, let's try to add as well the time. So using this one here, and here we can add hour with 2 digit, 2 hyphen digit, and then comma the minute as well in 2 digits. And you get the idea. Now you could change it to setting the 12 hour to false. There's even other option for that one. So let me show you that one. If we're going here back to the options, here we have the numbering system. So we have here the 12 hour, what we can set to false. Or we have the hour cycle, and if you're confused with why it's age 11 or age 12, that's one it's spaced starting from 0 and one starting from 1, and then 23 and 24. Other thing you can output would be, let's go to this example here. We can output the error, long. And now we have the date, the error, anno domini, and then the time. And for example, you need only the error here. What you can do, first we can see, okay, we don't need actually the date. So what we can do here is changing that to time. And now we have here a comma. What we can do now is we add a split method, dot split, and we want to split it at the comma. So in quotes, we set a comma. And now we need only the first part, and we add in square brackets 0. And now we got only anno domini. And if you change it to short, then you get AD and so on. Next thing we can output, it's the time zone name. So let's go to this example and changing this one to time zone name. And here you can see we get the full time with the time zone. Here before we had only the AM, and here now we got the Central European summertime. So we have now the comma here after the date. So let not outputting the time. So what we can do, we using here the date, and now we got the comma here. So what we can do, again the same like before, we split it at the comma. So but you can see we have as well a space here, so we add a space here as well, closing this one. And now we need the second part of my array, adding a 1, and now we get only the Central European summertime. And we go back here to the website and checking the where we have the time zone here. So we have long, short, the offsets, or long generic. So let's use the short one. Let's see, now we get the GMT +2. I hope I covered everything what is important and you can use for your next project. As you can see, there are quite a few options to output the date and the time. Before we are finished, let me go over the websites with all the console example used on a web page. So here in WebStorm, I have the project, and here is the README file where you have all the links. We go over here, and as well a wiki for the time zone and the options and so on. So that is here the page, and if you want to run it, you just click on this one, and this is how it looks like. So here as well, I put the links here so that you all the time can easily access that. And then what we used in the console, and then the output. And here is the example for get the full year and how I'm output this one. So let's go back to WebStorm, and here the get date. So I put them all like here, what you can find like the date, time format and so on. And here I use only for the full year one-liner, because for me it makes no sense to add this one first in a variable and then using the variable to add the inner HTML to get the full year. Because I'm only using it one time here in my project, makes no sense for me to add it to a variable. And in the HTML page, so let me collapse everything here and then start opening the sections, and they're all comments here. And here we have the get methods. the full year. And the only thing what I do here, I add here a span tag with my class from compute year. You could use as well an ID, but when you use an ID, you can use the ID only one time on your web page, and as this is usually coming for me in the footer, and maybe I want to use it in some of my content of the web page, so that's why I'm using a class. So that's all for me. Thank you for watching. I see you in the next one. Bye.